If you're not using AI to generate alpha in today's markets, you're already falling behind. With Perplexity Finance, you've got the world's most powerful brain and compute engine at your fingertips, ready to break down stocks, trends, and macro moves in seconds. In this video, I'll show you 10 of the most powerful Perplexity prompts I'm using right now to generate outstanding returns in the markets. And these are the 10 prompts you can be using as well to gain an edge on your fellow investors. Hey guys, welcome back to Data with Dominic, and this is the channel where we help you become an AI native so that you can supercharge your productivity, wealth, and life. Alright, so if you're new to Perplexity Finance and want a quick walkthrough, I've created a video giving you a quick introduction and walkthrough of Perplexity Finance and some of its basic features. I'll link to that in the top right hand corner of the screen, and if you want to watch that, you can check that out. But let's dive into the 10 prompts you need to be using as an investor who is AI native. All right. So the first prompt will be to quickly check or analyze a company's financial health. All right. And the prompt we can use for that is simple. Is right. Analyze stock's name. Let's say Apple. Analyze Apple's financial health over the last 5 years. All right. And what it gives you is basically a 5-year health analysis, financial health analysis, with revenue, profitability, and growth, return on equity. It's balance sheet and cash reserve positions, shareholder information, dividends, buyback, and then strategic sectoral themes, key takeaways, and obviously a conclusion. All right. So it's one concise prompt which gets you the full financial story, profitability, balance sheet strength, and cash flow without digging through multiple reports. You'll quickly spot stability or warning signs essential for stock selection. All right. And that is our first prompt. The second prompt we can work with is to compare earnings growth, all right, or compare any metric for multiple stocks in a particular market. All right, so suppose an interesting factor for us is earnings growth. We can just write compare earnings growth between, let's say, the big tech stocks, right, Microsoft versus Google versus Amazon. And what it gives us is a tabulated version of revenue growth over the last year, with also the cloud division year-on-year growth, because all of these companies are competing majorly in the cloud space, and the operating income growth, long-term annual growth projections. All right, so we can make it more detailed. We can revise our prompt to give us the look or feel of the data for the last however so many years, so that we get a better idea, or we can overlay it on a graph as well. But basically what it tells us is that head-to-head comparisons reveal usually leaders and laggards instantly. So it's perfectly suitable for building convictions or reconsidering your stock picks. All right. The third prompt, which I use quite actively when making investing decisions or stock picks, is to identify the risks a particular stock faces. All right. So suppose I say, what are the top risks facing, what's a risk forward stock right now? Maybe Tesla, right? So what are the top risks facing Tesla right now? All right, and it gives us section wise what are the top risks facing Tesla and what could be the reasons, right? So leadership and key man risk, Elon; declining sales and weak demand; brand damage and reputation issues, again related to Elon, I'm sure; over reliance on unproven technology; competition and market overvaluation; policy and regulatory changes; operations and expansion risks. All right, and gives us a summary on the risks Tesla's facing. So what this does is basically it allows you to stay one step ahead by knowing what could derail your potential investment, and it uses AI to surface factors you might have missed. All right, because we're not good at assimilating a lot of information. So basically using AI to do what it's good at and look through a lot of information and bring risks we might have missed to the surface. All right, so the fourth prompt, which I use quite regularly while making investment decisions, is summarizing quarterly reports. All right, and this is hugely powerful because this is also again what AI does best, taking a lot of information and assimilate and summarize it, right? So suppose you want to say summarize the latest quarterly report from Netflix in bullet points, right? It'll very easily specify which quarter the reports are from and give you the key highlights related to each section: record revenue and earnings, strategic growth drivers, business model shift, stock performance and market sentiment, other notable points, right? So it basically saves you time and stops you wading through a lot of jargon, and gives you the key highlights from each of these quarterly reports instantly. All right, so you can go through more reports and make more informed decisions. All right, so that was prompt number 4. Prompt number 5 is for my dividend investing friends. All right, so you can very quickly check the dividend history and the yield growth of your dividend stocks very quickly using Perplexity Finance. All right, and there's a very simple prompt for that, which is show the dividend history and yield, for J&J, Johnson & Johnson, right? Again, saves you a lot of time wading through a lot of websites, and it in a very simple way summarizes this information and gives it to you easily, all right? So below is a table of Johnson & Johnson's recent quarterly cash dividends per share and the corresponding payment dates, all right? So it's been paying about $1.30 for every quarter, which is about 1% dividend yield per quarter, which is one point something. So the annual dividend per share is $5.2, and the 5-year dividend growth rate is approximately 5.5%. All right, and dividend yield of the stock is around low 3% range. All right, so yeah, it's quite powerful. If you want to quickly calculate which stocks, like if you're an income focused investor, this makes dividend analysis easy. So it helps you optimize for growth and stability of your dividend income, right? So that was prompt number 5. Prompt number 6 is for when I want to probably make stock selections, and I feel that there's sectors out there which could be ripe for or ready for explosive growth, and I want to find the undervalued stock in that sectors. I can use this prompt to basically screen undervalued stocks, right? So suppose I want to identify, so I think the semiconductor industry is ready to pop off, right? So identify undervalued stocks in the semiconductor industry, and what are the metrics I value underperform stocks by, right? I'll probably use the value metrics, right? So things like P ratio, PB ratio, right? So my prompt would be identify undervalued stocks in the semiconductor industry using value metrics. So price to earnings ratios, price to book ratio, free cash flows is all Warren Buffett's golden rules, intrinsic value and things like that. So it gives us a list of some particular stocks and what it feels they could be undervalued at, the percentage it feels it could be undervalued at, and why it's making that assumption. All right, so again, based on your investing profile, sector affirmities, you could choose a sector and find out the underperforming stocks in that sector and then start your research from there. So it eliminates a lot of the initial work or grunt work which you would have in the pre-AI age, right? So that was prompt number 6. Prompt number 7 is to analyze price targets. All right, again, when you're making investments, you want to know what kind of output or outcome you could expect, and where would you get these would be from the analyst price targets, right? So AI is powerful at looking at these reports and then giving you the best guess of what it feels could be the right analyst sentiment. All right, so suppose we want to know for Nvidia, we can write what a credible analyst target for Nvidia over the next 12 months, right? So it gives you a deep dive on the stock initially, and then after that it gives you various analysts and the average target ratings, right? And then it's also highlighted some cases. We've got a bullish case, a bearish case, and we've got a base case. So it gives you what could be the high target, average target, low target, and most common range. All right, so again, important for you if you want to know your outcomes on this investment, right? The next thing which I feel is really powerful, and again AI saves us a lot of time and effort in finding out and assimilating this information, is insider trading comparisons. All right, and what that means is when key executives and stockholders within companies make stock purchases or sales, that could be an indicator of what's going down at that company or what is likely to go down at that company in the future. So you always follow those movements, and AI helps us assimilate and compare those notes, right? So suppose for Meta, I want to know what's going on. So I say compare recent insider trading activity for Meta with its industry peers, right? All right, so again, it tells us insider activity in the past 90 days. There's been 163 transactions and only an approximately reduction in $10 million in net value, right? So only $10 million of Meta stock has been sold. That's basically chump change when you're talking about these kind of numbers. So it's not really relevant. It shows us it's a strong sign that there is confidence within the senior leadership team and promoter group in terms of the future of the company. All right, so again, it's quite positive for Meta, and we know that there's only been this much. Normally when we see that there's been a huge sale, a huge transaction volume in terms of preferential shares, there could be some event on the horizon that is looming which might not be good for regular investors. All right, so what that means is basically it tells us if these executives and promoters within a company are backing up their talk, and helps us spot unusual moves in any sectors. All right, so the prompt number 9 which I use, this is more of a general prompt, is when I have a sector that I'm very focused on and I want to find the best ETFs to invest in that sector. I don't want to do stock picking. I just want to find thematic ETFs which perform the best and have good exposure in that particular sector which I'm sort of hovering towards, all right? So, and the prompt I use is suppose it's the green energy space, right? So list the top ETFs for exposure to green energy. Top ETFs for green energy exposure. It gives me a list, all right, with the notable holdings and the key focus of each of these ETFs. And then obviously you can further dive deeper between each of these ETFs, get their holdings, expense ratios, and things like that to further refine your decision making process. All right. And finally, the last prompt which I sometimes use is, it's this bit of a bad habit in investing, but I like to, for any investment that I'm about to make, I like to play the devil's advocate, and I would like to see the most extreme bullish and bearish scenario for each stock which I'm investing in. Maybe it's not a bad habit. If you want to understand or challenge your thesis from both sides, it's obviously great for reducing your bias and sharpening your investment arguments. All right. So suppose I'm investing in a stock like Shopify. I can write generate the max bullish and bearish cases for investing in Shopify, and I like to throw in a price target angle as well, and throw in a price target in both cases as well. Explain your logic. It's a bit of a degen habit, but yeah, max bullish case, price target $140 plus. What are the logic and the supporting factors, and the bullish case risks, right? So the max bearish case risks, price target $75, and it gives you the bearish case risk, the bearish case logic and supporting factor, as well as the risks, all right? And it puts it in a table for a quick summary of the same, all right? Again, bad habit. Don't follow me. This is just something I like to do. So I have an option in my head, or an idea in my head about how this could pan out. Things go to hell or things go to heaven, right? And there you have it. These were my top 10 Perplexity Finance prompts that can transform the way you invest. Want to unlock smarter research and make more confident decisions? Try these out and share your results in the comments below, all right? So don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, and hit the bell icon. And I shall see you guys in the next video.